Hello everyone, welcome to the 34th tutorial in the series of Complete Guide to React.js. So in this tutorial, we are going to see forms in React.js and we are going to see how practically forms works in React.js. So just to recollect, in the last tutorial, we have seen theoretically how to set state and how to make a controllable elements is controlled by React.js. So in this, we will try to implement the same. So I am going to my app.js. So I have deleted whatever the code that I have written previously. In this, I'm going to create a new folder, going to name it as tutorial 34. And as usual, and I'm going to create a new file. Let me keep the name as forms.js. You can keep whatever the name you want, and then you have to mention RCC. What this will do is this will create a class component. So inside this, I'm going to create a constructor, and right now let me just put some controllable elements in JavaScript, which is nothing but input type as text, type equal to text, and I'm going to close it, self close, save it, and I'm planning to import it over here. Forms hash self close, and before that, in order to make it work, I have to import the same. Import forms from dot slash tutorial 34 slash forms. Okay, and I'm going to click on save. Let me take a look at the browser and see what is it. So there is a input type is there, which is nothing but text. So just getting appeared in the browser. So I'm going to type anything, and this is controlled by JavaScript itself. The element whichever that is present over here, right? It is controlled by its own, but that is not the case. We need to change it in such a way that React.js controls whatever the contents inside this. If I type this, only React.js has to control this. That's what we have seen in the previous tutorial, theoretical tutorial. And how to make that is, at first, for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get inside form.js, where I have created this input type text. In this, I'm going to initialize a state as mentioned in the previous tutorial. So going to mention it as equal to, and inside this I'm going to give a username colon, and at initially let it be empty, and later I will set it. So in this input type text, I have to mention the value. How I'll do it in the previous series of tutorial. If you have seen that, I would have also explained it. We need to use this dot state dot username. So whatever the values that is present over here, it would be over here. I'm going to the browser, refresh it, going to enter the values, nothing happens, right? So at this place, we actually made React.js control this particular input type text box. Whereas in previous way, right, before writing the state, it was controlled on its own. So whatever I type, it is being controlled on its own. Right now, we made to be controlled by React.js. So in order to type, whatever the values it is typed in this text box need to be stored, what we need to do, we need to write set state. So how to do that? At first, what I'm going to do is on change. So this is a default event for the text box on change or on like there is another event called on click is also there, but it is not required. Over here, on change is required. So whatever you change it, it needs to be stored. And over here, I'm going to mention it as handle, say for example, handle text change. I'll give the name like this. And this is a function. And since it is a function, I have to mention handle text change equal to, and I'm using what is it? I'm using ES6 way of representing the function, so you can take a look and learn. So over here, each and every change is having an event, right? Over here, I'm going to mention it as a target. So many might get confused. So I have not declared any variable or anything by value called target over here, but without doing anything, I am just mentioning a target as a parameter in the handle text change. You can ask why it is. There might be some question raised in your mind. This is nothing but it's an inbuilt component or inbuilt unit that would get triggered. So in a simple way, what you can imagine is, say for example, whatever the contents you type in the text box, right? Automatically this function would get called, and what is present inside it would be passed over here as a parameter. So this is the actual definition of it. So right now over here, I'm passing the target, and this target value I am going to save it inside the set state. So set state, and I'm going to mention the object like how I've defined it. It's my bad. Open bracket, close bracket, open braces, close braces, and inside that I'm going to mention username colon target dot value. So again, don't get confused. So this is nothing but target is nothing but what are all the contents that is present inside this text box would be passed as a contents in this function. So target is the contents of this text box. So this is the inbuilt feature of the JavaScript, and React.js overlays uses those and sets the content into the set state. So I'm saving it, and let me take a look. Right now I'm going to type some word. Let's see what happens. Perfect. So it automatically stores the content inside the set state. So we controlled the controllable components using React.js set state method. So this is what I want to explain you practically in this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we will see like how to control the same drop down a button and how to prevent on submitting a button. Those contents we'll take a look. Thanks and have a nice day ahead.